Good morning, students. In the previous video, we had started a new chapter, and the name of the chapter was India's Landforms. Today, we are continuing with the chapter. In the previous video, we had talked about the northern mountains. Today, we are going to talk about the northern plains. The various landforms, according to which India can be divided into 6 broad regions. The first one is northern mountains. The second one is the northern plains. If you look at this map that is given in your book, this green portion shows the northern plains. I have zoomed this out for you so that it can be better understood. This green portion you see here identifies the northern plains. Here I have put out another map. You can see the states which come under the northern plain regions. They are Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Meghalaya, Assam, Nagaland. Okay. So these are few of the states that come under the northern plain region. Now let's see what the book has talked about. The northern plains. The northern plains are lowlands to the south of the Himalaya. These plains are very fertile. They are watered by rivers coming down from the Himalaya. On their way down, these rivers break off and carry away rocks. The rocks rub against each other and break. The broken pieces break further to form a soil called alluvium, which is very good for growing plants. When the rivers flood, the rich soil spreads over the plains. So in this part, they are talking about the fertility of the northern plains. As you know, the northern plains is a flat piece of land, right? We are living on the northern plain regions, so you can understand better what kind of region we are talking about. The ground is flat, okay, there are green fields everywhere. Lots of crops can be grown very easily. We have a huge river flowing through the plain. So that is what is being talked about in this paragraph. The northern plains are lowlands. Mountains are high and the northern plains compared to the mountains are low. So if you see the structure, okay, so this is the mountain which slopes downwards, then comes to a flat kind of structure. This flat kind of structure, this is the plain land we are talking about. The plains are very fertile. They are watered by rivers coming down from the Himalayas. In the previous video, we had talked about the glaciers, right? What are glaciers? Huge masses of ice which moved slowly down the slope. And what happens when they come down the slope? They start to melt due to the warm climate. And as they melt, they form rivers. These rivers, what happens? Up from the mountain, they are coming downwards due to the slope. So, meanwhile, after certain amount of time, they enter the plain regions. So these rivers, they flow from the top of the mountain down into the plain regions. And while they are coming down, they are flowing at a very fast speed. They are very fast, okay. And due to their speed, what they do is they carry and they break and carry rocks with them. These rocks hit and rub against each other and break down to form soil. This particular kind of soil is known as alluvium, and this is very good for growing plants. So alluvium is a very fertile soil. So if you are asked a question to give example of a fertile soil, you can say alluvium is a fertile soil. And these rivers, they spread this soil over the plain regions, which makes the plain regions very fertile. See this picture here? Okay, so the glacier is up on the mountain, which is melting to form the river, and this river comes down into the plain region, and this plain region, it deposits the soil. The main rivers of the northern plains are the Ganga, the Brahmaputra, their tributaries, and the tributaries of the Indus. A tributary is a river that joins a larger river. For example, the river Yamuna, Ghagra, and Kosi are some of the tributaries of the Ganga. The tributaries of the Indus include the rivers Satluj, Bias, and Ravi. So, what is a tributary? We have talked about rivers, right? The rivers come down and they flow through the plain. But in the northern plains, we have the Ganga, which comes from which glacier? The Gangotri glacier, right? We have Brahmaputra, and there are some tributaries of the Indus. What are tributaries? Tributaries are rivers that join a larger river. See this picture here. If this river is to be considered as a large river, okay, this river is a large river. If you see the breadth, this is a bigger river compared to this one, right? So this river, which is smaller compared to this river, okay, is known as a tributary. It is coming and joining this river. So this river is a tributary. Suppose this is the river Ganga. This is the river Yamuna. Okay, Yamuna rising from the Yamunotri glacier, Ganga rising from the Gangotri glacier. Ganga is flowing and Yamuna comes and joins the river Ganga. So Yamuna is a tributary of the river Ganga. Similarly, we have Ghagra and Kosi, two other tributaries. And these tributaries together form a huge river, Ganga. Another river is the Brahmaputra, and there are some of the tributaries of river Indus, which are the Satluj, Bias, and Ravi. So they are all names of rivers. Okay. So if you are asked to give example of rivers, you can write their names. If you are asked to give examples of tributaries, suppose you asked a question where you have to give the names of the tributaries of the river Ganga. What will you say? You will say Yamuna, Ghagra, and Kosi. If you are asked to give examples of those of Indus, tributaries of Indus, you will say Satluj, Bias, and Ravi. So this is about the rivers that flow through the northern plains. As a river like the Ganga comes near the sea, it slows down and deposits a lot of soil. The deposited soil forms islands. The river breaks up into small streams called distributaries, which flow around these islands. The landform formed where the river enters the sea is called a delta. It is often triangular in shape. The Ganga and the Brahmaputra, which flows into the Bay of Bengal, have together formed the world's largest delta, the Sundarban Delta. Now, in this paragraph, we are talking about a new kind of structure that is formed by these rivers. Two things we find in this paragraph. First, we are talking about distributaries, and next we are talking about deltas. Coming back to this picture, you see tributary is a river that joins a river. What is a distributary? A distributary is a stream that breaks away from a river. So tributaries come and join, distributaries break away. So a river starts its journey from the mountains, it flows through the plains, and it finally meets the sea. And at the mouth of the sea, when the river is joining the sea, these structures are formed. Triangular kind of structures. Okay, they are generally triangular, but they can also be somewhat different in shape. Okay, so these structures are known as deltas. What are deltas? Deltas are landforms which are formed when the river enters the sea. They are often triangular in shape. So they can or cannot be triangular, but in general they are triangular in shape. The Ganga and the Brahmaputra, which flow into the Bay of Bengal, have together formed the world's largest delta, and that is the Sundarban Delta. Okay, so if we come back to this map of India, okay, in this map you can see this portion. This portion shows us where the Sundarban Delta is located. It is very small here. It is not clear. You can see it on Google. You can search it on Google, or you can take out an atlas and look into it. You will see that the Sundarban Delta is formed by the river Brahmaputra and the Ganga. And it is the world's largest delta. Why? Because you see, there are two countries. West Bengal, which is a part of India, and Bangladesh. Okay, so two countries, it stretches. So that's a huge distance that it covers. So it's the world's largest delta. Next, talking about the life in the plains. Many kinds of crops such as wheat, rice and sugarcane are grown in the fertile plains. It is also easy to build roads, railways and buildings on the flat land. This is why many people live on these plains. There are many large cities here like Delhi, Agra, Varanasi, Kanpur, Allahabad, Lucknow, Patna and Kolkata. So, first we have read that the plains are fertile. So, it is very easy to grow many kinds of crops here like wheat, rice, sugarcane. These are some of the examples. And then again, because the land is flat, which we can see all around us, the structure of the land makes it easier to build roads, railways and buildings. You see, there are so many houses around us. The railway lines stretches far and wide. Roads, there are numerous number of roads we can travel on, right? So, due to these reasons, many people prefer to live on the plain. There are so many people around us, right? And as many people live on the plains, there are large cities that are formed here. Some examples are Delhi, Agra, Varanasi, Kanpur, Allahabad, Lucknow, Patna and Kolkata. So, Kolkata is a large city, right? We live in Kolkata. So, this is about the northern plain region. I will end this video here. In the next video, we will be talking about the next part. So that's all for today. Thank you and bye-bye.